Hello to all you Patriots out there in podcast land, and welcome to episode 255 of Canadian Patriot Podcast, the number one book review podcast in Canada. We're recording on August 24th, 2020. As always, I'll be your host. My name is Andrew. Joining me tonight, we have Gavin, Dave, and Alan.
Yo.
And we'd love to hear your feedback about the show, so please visit CanadianPatriotPodcast.com/feedback or email us at feedback@CanadianPatriotPodcast.com. Send us your book review suggestions, because we'll maybe listen. Maybe. The version of the show is available on Stitcher and iTunes.
You can check our... You can check the podcast out on social media. Facebook.com/Canadian Patriot Podcast. And I'm all confused at Instagram. Instagram/Canadian Patriot Podcast.
Okay, you can blame me. I kind of jumped the gun there. You can blame me on that one. We need your help to support the show. Visit patreon.com/CPP and become a Patreon. You can get a better quality version of the show for just $1 per episode. Since we've moved over to the 2-show-a-week COVID format, patrons also get early access to the midweek show. Show you're not a communist. Buy a CPP t-shirt for just $19.99 plus shipping and theft. Visit CanadianPatriotPodcast.com homepage and follow the link on the right.
All right, and I'm going to ask Alan, because Alan's not a regular panelist. Alan's an irregular panelist. And Alan, have you completed your partisan challenge today?
Boy, howdy, did I. I did all the things that were on the list. I did my 45 minutes of exercise. I did a jiu-jitsu class today. Practicing a practical skill. I did some actual handwriting today. Like actual handwriting for quite some time with a purpose, not just like reciting the alphabet. I was actually writing a letter to somebody.
Get the old lined note page and just start doing those circles.
Yep, absolutely. Actually, I use grid paper. I find like the graph paper. I find it gets everything nicely lined up. 15 minutes of reading. I accomplished that. I'm reading through 12 Rules for Life for an upcoming episode. I drank at least 4 liters of water today because I'm a sweaty bastard. And I'm going to go with that task to improve my life. I added that jiu-jitsu class. That was a brand new thing for me today. So that was all accomplished up to and including about 6 minutes ago.
And the most important question, did you make your bed when you woke up?
I did not, simply because no, there's a reason though. My significantly better half gets up out of bed most of the time after me. She makes the bed the mornings that she gets up last. I make the bed the morning.
Efficiency.
Oh yeah. I make the bed the days that I get up last. But today was laundry day, so we didn't make the bed at all. We stripped it. But that's the only reason it didn't happen today.
Yet. I mean, I guess you'll make it. Sort of, at least. You'll put sheets on it before you go to bed.
It will be made, and then we will unmake it again, yes.
Good stuff. Let's do What Are We Drinking? That's my favorite segment. It's where I ask everybody on the show what they're drinking. We're going to go clockwise like usual. Starting in the top right with Gavin. Gavin, what are you drinking?
I have a bit of an unusual choice this evening. It's the Eden Grove Hibiscus Blossom Apple Cider. It's the official drink of the Boog because it's got a hibiscus flower on the can.
Nice drink.
You are flirting with danger there, sir.
Yeah, I thought this was like some way of like trying to signal us that something was wrong. Like
save you, everyone has you tied up in the basement kind of thing.
So I've got a can of Stella to go along with it. Don't worry. It's interesting.
All right, we'll allow.
It's a decent apple cider that someone has put a bunch of flowers in and possibly ruined it.
Based solely on your background. That's a nice drink. Does it come in men's?
Yes, it does. It's a much bigger can that doesn't have the hibiscus in it.
Do we get to deduct points for missing the joke there? Can we deduct points? Are there points? Okay.
Yes. There are points, and we'll take Gavin's away.
Okay, perfect.
I thought me drinking this already did that.
And you do not pass go.
Well,
no.
Alan, what are you drinking?
I'm drinking water, completely unadventurous, but I literally walked in the door 4 minutes ago and didn't have a chance to make myself a drink before I came on.
Dave, what are you drinking?
I'm drinking some Captains and some Coke Zero, and I got my 1.5 liter of water beside me as well.
Oh, you still got to do 1.5 liters before bedtime. Somebody's going to get up at 2 and have to go bathroom.
I'm pretty good, actually. I have the bladder of a pack mule. I'll make it to the morning.
Wait, you guys don't just roll over and pee in a cup?
I mean, I could. I'm single.
frowned upon in my home.
Yeah. Only
I
if they
don't
find out.
know.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it depends which way I roll over.
It's all about efficiency, guys. But I don't have to get out of bed and back to sleep faster.
That's fair.
I do the one eye closed with the light only one light in the hallway on.
Yeah, no, got to keep that night vision intact. I hear you.
So I'm drinking Shakespeare's Brewing's The Reckless Rooster. It's delicious.
So,
You have to bring
where's Ian and his
try it.
Ian and
We'll
his
exchange
black cock
beers.
on the show.
One
when you-
complaint at a time.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I mean, you don't have Ian with his big
Anytime,
black cock.
Gavin.
You don't have Ian on the show with his big black cock with a name for a beer like that. It's a shame.
He has no
Okay, so when
rebuttal.
I get a farm and I start a brewery, we're gonna have to figure out how to do like a double black IPA so that I can go around and show off my big black cock beer.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to bring some of Stratford's finest, and I'll bring some of Milton's finest. Apparently, a microbrewery opened up in Milton, so we'll
Ooh.
have to see what's up.
Oh,
But really, where
road
isn't
trip.
there a microbrewery?
What's that? Sorry,
Where isn't there a microbrewery?
this is true.
True.
Not in
I've
Milton
even
up
got
to this
one near
point.
me. Yeah, there's one that's near me that's been there for forever, at least since I was a kid and drinking it underage.
Nice.
I mean, I live in a town of like 45 people, and there's a microbrewery here. So
Yeah, but when you make it in your
Me
own
too.
garage, that doesn't count.
Aw.
Need to have a storefront.
sure, I can do that.
So,
Makes sense,
the
right?
reason that I've gathered the illustrious panel together this evening, we're going to talk about making your bed. Mostly, we're going to talk about a book by a U.S. Navy SEAL and Admiral William McRaven.
I
Make
know.
your bed, small things that can change your life and maybe the world.
Totally weird. A Navy SEAL with a book.
Most
That has
popular.
never happened before.
People probably have seen his video, most popular on like Facebook and whatnot, social medias, where he's addressing a group of college graduates, giving them their something speech. Can't remember what you call that.
It's commencement speech.
Commencement
Yeah, commencement speech.
at
Yeah, that's
University
it.
of
So,
Texas.
yeah, so that's
Where, by
probably
the
where
way,
most
is
people have
Chancellor.
seen him.
And just for the record, I make both my kids watch that at least once a week. It's I absolutely love the speech. It's spot on. I think I was saying in the notes before, as much as I absolutely love the lessons within this, and I think the speech is well worth the 15-ish minutes that it takes to watch. That's about as far as you need to go with it, unless you want some of the backstory.
Yeah, I don't know that I needed a book.
No.
The speech was good. Had seen the speech before. We put this into book club. It was kind of a pain to get the book because it was not like an in-stock Amazon item, so it had to be shipped from, I don't know, the UK somewhere.
Weird.
And then I got
Audible
a
did.
very tiny book, and I was like, there's no way that this is right, because it's like 60 pages.
It's like literally only 2.5 hours on like the Audible as well. It was really quick. I was
Yeah.
like 2 days in the truck of like just regular driving, like not doing any long road trips or anything. Like, oh, it's done.
I read this while I was on vacation in a morning. Like it was 2 coffees sitting on the deck, and it was read. Like it was not big. And I mean the whole concept behind it is it just expands a little bit on how
His stories and stuff.
on how his stories relate to those lessons and why he takes those lessons as the gospel. And again, I think the lessons are absolutely fantastic, but I don't think I needed an entire book about it. I'm gonna make my kids it's easy reading.
I don't know. I enjoyed it. I liked that it was short, but I found that, I mean, the book in itself is kind of like lesson 1. Where like you're given a small task to complete and you complete it, and then that kind of sets you on your path for the day. So like if the book was like 12 Rules for Life, which is kind of in that same vein, where Peterson did this thing and made up a list of things, but like the chapters are, a book in and of themselves, you can't finish that quickly. But this book, you can do it and be done with it and take them, the lessons in and the bigger explanations that you give in the book versus the speech and accomplish something. You finished a book.
That is deep.
I enjoyed.
There's a level of meta there that I don't know that I appreciate.
I enjoyed how like just about every lesson had a story behind it that was related to a story, and I don't know. I quite enjoyed the stories. It they weren't all about combat or about fighting or anything, but blowing shit up. But like just life skills and an attitude to bring to the table that can see you through a lot of difficult things, and just also help better prepare you mentally for when you do encounter difficult situations in your life, which you inevitably will.
No, I'll be the first one to say, I think I was expecting this to be much more like Extreme Ownership. I don't know if any of you guys are Jocko fans, but I was expecting you to.
I love Jocko and jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not even going to pretend that that's not why I was there tonight, but I was expecting it to go into a little bit more depth and make it a little bit more personal and relatable to him. Plus, I think the war stories are kind of cool. And so I was expecting that. And the kind of to Gavin's point, the difference between Peterson and McRaven is that McRaven was an admiral who was good at passing along information concisely, and Peterson is a university professor. So his whole job is to expound on things to a point where people think that he's smart.
Ad nauseum, yeah. Yeah, I mean, we're lucky that like McRaven wasn't in the Marines, because then it would be a picture book all in crayons. But
well, half crayons. The other half would have been eaten.
But yeah, there's definitely some differences. I mean, and even a comparison to Extreme Ownership is kind of a good thing, because although much shorter and way less intense, it kind of follows the same vein where he gives you a thing and then uses his military career to kind of explain it. Although in Jocko's book, he then goes on to give you a business application of it as well. But excellent book, and I'm sure we'll get to it at some point.
I'll read that one again every day of the week.
I have to say, the one chapter in the book where he goes over his parachuting accident, maybe a little queasy listening to that in the car. That sounded absolutely graphic.
Yeah.
I think I pulled something. I think I pulled something reading the description of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I felt sympathy pains. Yeah.
Oh man,
I don't want this.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's not all just peaches and roses in his life. He has gone through some pretty traumatic stuff. So it's pretty interesting. And again, it's nothing to do with combat. It was just a training exercise, and he literally got split like a freaking banana. From his parents around him.
So if you decide you're not going to read the book, essentially a parachute cord wraps around his leg, and then
legs,
quite literally legs, and then essentially rips him in half lengthwise.
Yeah.
So if you picture cooking a whole chicken, but you want to cook a beer can chicken, and so you have to make an opening there, so you kind of put your thumbs in it and then sort of crack the pelvis open. Only at 30,000 feet, and it's a dude.
Yeah, pretty much. So pretty intense.
Yeah,
not something I would wish on anybody ever.
No, but to his credit, I mean, he, took the time and recovered, and still managed to get up in front of a bunch of people and deliver a speech standing.
Absolute kudos to that. I don't think that I would have anywhere near the same recovery
wherewithal. Yeah, at least not as quickly either.
Definitely not. So are we going to go through kind of chapter by chapter and talk about the tasks?
We could do that. Okay. Why don't I start with chapter 1? Start your day with a task completed. In his example, it's make your bed, unsurprisingly.
I wonder where he got the title for this book. Did you know?
Probably because he got in trouble for not making his bed a bunch or something stupid like that. And
I'd be willing to bet it was more than once.
I will say there is something to be had for having your bed made and going to bed in a made bed. I much prefer going to bed with the bed being. And if you ask my better half there, she will tell you I'm very particular about our cover situation.
Yeah, not too cold, not too hot, just right.
Well, and just like there needs to be a certain amount on the side of the bed. It needs to be even, and
Well, and it was something that I did as a kid. You know, I spent a lot of time with my grandparents when I was young. My grandpa was he was a serviceman, and that was exactly the same thing. First thing out of the bed in the morning, make the bed. Now he was old school, so there was not only the blankets and the pillows, but then there was also a bedspread that went on top that was strictly decorative. And there's a specific method to that as well. And the tag had to be in the lower right corner. There was a very specific way to do it.
Some girls are still like that, where they have like 15 decorative pillows that have to be arranged in a very specific manner. And if you don't do it right, whoa.
So I don't have that in our bed, but I have that on our couch.
No.
And there's
Decorative
more
anything. No.
There are more pillows than there are couches. There's more pillows than there are
functional.
couches. I'm very much the same way. I have, however,
we don't always get
by
our
this.
Yeah, you've lost the argument on it.
Absolutely, and there are. I think there's a lesson in here about don't pick a fight that you know you can't win, and that was
fair.
So starting the day with a task completed, the whole point of making your bed is that there's something done, and it sets you up for another little task, and eventually all those little tasks turn into one big success.
And also, when you have the shittiest of days, at least when you put your head on the pillow at the end of the day, you come to a made bed, which, as I think we're all in agreement, is nice.
Absolutely, it is. And it's also something that you can control. Mm-hmm. You can always control making the bed.
This is true, for the most part.
So your drill sergeant comes over and rips the sheets off and tells you to redo it all
again.
But then you're still making your bed, and you're improving at something at the same time. That goes back to our task list, right?
Yeah.
Challenge for the day.
Right. Make your bed better.
Yes.
Yeah.
More gooder.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I guess the sentiment is do something to at least get the day rolling. Easy task. Everyone can do it, but it helps, right? I mean, and if you've read Peterson's book, like the rule 1 for his thing is kind of the same idea, where you kind of, you're successful at something, which builds then to more success down the road because you've done something.
I thought the first chapter of Peterson's book was about lobsters.
Yeah, but how when they win confrontations, they become more successful in future because they've successfully basically confronted somebody.
They're CPU or neural processors. They're learning.
So be a good lobster and make your bed.
Make your bed, yeah. Show title right there.
Punch other lobsters in the nose.
Don't be a lonely lobster. That'll be chapter 2 here. You can't go it alone.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think it's been talked about over and over again how the lone wolf concept, when you're talking about the apocalypse, when you're talking about business, when you're talking about whatever.
Episode 253, where I had to do the show by myself because all my friends bailed.
and so you have a personal attestation to this, that you cannot be successful without a crew. And I mean, I can relate to that. I started my business many moons ago. One guy in a cell phone and the back of an SUV. And quickly realized that
selling stereos.
Well, I'm a locksmith by trade, so I was going around fixing locks, and I very quickly realized that I couldn't. I could either fix locks or I could build a business, but I couldn't do both. And so it became a task to hire, train, motivate, manage, and eventually fire a number of people to get the right people around me that had the same vision or that had the same goals.
At least the same drive.
I don't expect anybody to have the same drive as a business owner. Nobody cares about my business as much as I do, but even as long as we have the same goals and we're working on the same timeline, then you can do it your way, I'll do it my way, and we'll meet at the end.
Isn't that like one of the Jim Collins principles, like getting the right people on the bus?
Absolutely. And if you ask, it doesn't matter which business, big business people you listen to, whether it's Richard Branson or Grant Cardone or Gary Vaynerchuk or any of them. All of them say the exact same thing. If you don't have the right people in place, it doesn't matter how good your product is.
Yeah,
I believe that.
Richard Branson's thing was hire the right people and then get the hell out of their way.
Yeah, I mean, Jocko's thing is a little bit different in that there's no such thing as bad teams, just bad leaders. But that's still having the right person in the right place.
Exactly.
He just puts the ownership of that on somewhere else.
And how he arrives at that great team, how anybody arrives at that great team differs. And I'll be the first one to say, if the people that have worked for me in the past can attest, there were times when I A, put the wrong person in place, and B, didn't manage them effectively. And there was no way that they could be successful. Yeah, and I have to own that, right? It at the time it was their failing, but in reality it was a failure in my leadership.
Yeah, and I mean, as a business owner myself, I've certainly had the wrong people in the wrong place at the wrong time, and you learn from it and you grow from it. But I mean, I certainly wouldn't be able to do what I do without my team. So yeah, it's really important to have a good team in place, because you can't do everything all the time, and inevitably, not just in business but in life, you're going to need to reach out to somebody to get a helping hand for something, even something small and stupid.
Can we have a Bill Withers moment and sing "Lean on Me" together?
Like a gas block pin.
No.
What about "He Ain't Heavy, He's My Brother"?
There we go.
Maybe, but I'll hook you up with a gas block pin if that's what you need.
Oh, you already did.
I know. I remember. Your brother was thoroughly confused because Dave's brother got an envelope delivered in person, parts for the Boogaloo.
Big igloo.
Huh? Yeah. And I gave Andrew a muscle break that he's yet to be able to use. Stupid ordering council.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, ordering council's kind of the worst. It's okay. Yeah. We can't go that alone either. So, give your money to CCFR so that we can sue the pants off the government.
Yeah.
Yep.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
There is strength in numbers, and we've known this since the absolute beginning of civilization, and before that. But when we were nothing but pack animals, there are strength in numbers, and the right people in the right place will get you anywhere you want. The wrong people in the wrong place will get you nowhere, no matter how hard you try.
Also, refer to our first book club thing for talking about building a team.
The gang. Getting the gang together.
Exactly.
Okay, I will accept a musical interlude with Bachman Turner Overdrive if you gentlemen would like.
Sold.
Engage.
This is BGO. They were Canada's answer to TCB, or to ELO. Their biggest hit in the 70s was TCB. I remember them. So you can't go it alone. And again, I don't think there's any argument from anyone. The wrong people in the wrong place are bad. The right people in the right place are completely priceless.
On to his third point. Only the size of your heart matters.
That was heart, gentlemen. Only the size of your heart matters.
Which, yes, but also no, because his example was entirely to do with physical prowess, even though he was describing diminutive people.
But he was just he was describing how the will to overcome challenges made them successful,
and how,
and also that they kept winning.
Yes,
yeah, but contrary to what most people would believe of people with diminutive stature and their performance athletically, they performed admirably and succeeded. Yes. Because they had heart. Kind of like that movie about the football guy, Rudy.
Rudy?
Yeah.
In the movie Rudy?
Yeah.
With the character Rudy?
Yeah.
Okay.
He had heart.
He had heart. You know who else had heart, though? The water boy.
Yes.
Didn't work out well for him, but he had heart.
Oh, it worked out. He had tackling fuel.
Yeah. Or another person with heart, William Wallace. They made a movie called Braveheart.
Now, that's a different kind of heart, because he had a brave heart.
Is brave not good?
No, I don't think anybody would say brave's not good. The point of only the size of your heart matters probably comes back to that general rule that your body gives out long before your mind gives out long before your body will, and the will to persevere and overcome and face your challenges is far more important, even if you don't succeed. You win or you learn, you never lose. All the kind of cliche statements, but you can outmuscle your brain, but you can't outbrain your muscles. No, other way around.
Makes sense. Possibly.
Yeah.
Other way around. You can outbrain your muscles, but you can't outmuscle your brain. That's it. So apparently I'm not drinking water, I'm drinking straight gin, and I wasn't told.
That makes sense. You can totally
things
psych yourself out. You can totally psych yourself out before you even get on the starting line.
Well, I mean, how many times Dave's wearing his gold medal from his victorious weekend of shooting the guns? How many times have we shown up to the line somewhere and somebody's got like their negative self-talk going on and they're already convinced they're not going to do well, and then they go and shoot and they don't do well.
Mm-hmm. It's almost like 100%. Like without a fail, if you are already thinking that you're losing, you have already lost.
You already lost. And how many times do I show up to the line and I talk massive amounts of shit about how good I'm going to do?
I'm amazing at this. I'm
and I have like a mediocre to okay performance, but I talked a lot of shit on the way up.
I think it was
Run Jam, but you were there in spirit.
Yeah, or Andrew and I fly across the country to go teach a bunch of professional soldiers some stuff, and when we talk about this positive self-talk, we can hear the eye rolling, and their performance matched.
The eye roll.
Yeah,
just saying.
Well, I think
not,
it was
not naming names.
I think it's a Henry Fordism. Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right.
Yep.
Yeah.
A good friend of mine always said positive mental attitude will see you through a lot of things that you don't think you might be able to tackle, but you're totally capable of doing.
Yeah.
Well, that kind of ties into the next point here. Life's not fair. Drive on.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's it.
And I don't know how many times I have like junior professionals that work with me. It's not fair. Customers are shitty. Things don't work. Other trades don't show up on time. Yep. Billing problems happen. Get the work done anyway.
Yep.
Yeah. You're not always going to succeed. Sometimes you're going to fail, and it sucks. And it's not fair because sometimes you've done everything right, and you still fail.
It is possible to make no mistakes and still not succeed.
Yeah, but you don't just stop and throw your hands up in the air and go, "Oh, this sucks." I mean, that doesn't help.
You can do that, but then you have to do something else.
You need to get back on the saddle and keep at her.
Yeah.
And I mean, you don't necessarily want to do the same thing again, right? The definition of insanity is doing something over and over again, expecting a different outcome. But it's still not an absolute that if you that if you do everything right, you'll win. My daughter is she's an incredibly talented dancer and singer, and as she's auditioning for things, she doesn't get the part, and she gets really down on herself. And we start going through all the variables that get her to the point where she either is or is not chosen for a part, and she goes, "Oh yeah, like the chances of me getting this are so slim, regardless, right? They might want a person, they might want a dancer who is blonde instead of brunette, or they might want a dancer with short hair instead of long hair, or somebody who is not 7.5 feet tall, because my daughter is incredibly tall. Like, she's not quite that tall, but like they go through all of those things where it's not something that you necessarily did, but they're filling a role, and no, it might not be fair because you are very talented.
Yeah, that's possibly even better.
And possibly better, but you didn't fit that specific part at that specific moment, and that's okay. Cast a wide net, and the right thing will come along. Yeah, it doesn't matter what you do. My son plays hockey, and he was a goalie for a number of years, and he would get really down on himself when his team lost. And I said, "How many pucks did you stop?" "Well, 50 out of 53. So you let in 3 goals. How many goals did your team score?" 2. So if you'd even let in 1 goal, or if you let in 1 goal and our team didn't score any, could you have won? No. Right? So it's possible to make no mistakes and still not win.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes things just suck. And there's no reason why.
Remember a few years ago they had that poster thing that was allegedly from Britain in the Second World War, keep calm and carry on? It's exactly what it is. Shit happens.
Well, then, I mean, how many times from shooting matches we've gone out and it's like shooting in the rain. Still better than not shooting, so suck it up. Embrace the suck, if you will, and just do it.
Plain and simple.
It could be a lot worse. You could be at the office.
Yeah.
I don't wanna.
No.
A bad day of golf is still
This
better
kind
than
of
a good day in the office.
Yeah. But
I don't understand this word you just used. This golf.
Golf.
I believe it's some sort of automobile
like
made in Germany.
It's
like a
so
rifle
picture,
range with no shooting.
Picture really slow rifle, like really slow shooting at really short distances with a really big
awful.
target.
Sounds
There's a
awful.
lot of alcohol involved, and that's the only reason it's good.
That's also probably why there's no
Okay.
guns involved.
That's exactly why there's no guns involved.
Could talk me into that. Let's go on to the fifth one here. Failure can make you stronger.
Absolutely.
I mean, basically,
I don't
kinda
know.
already
There's a
touched
lot to
on it, but
expand on that.
yeah,
I win or I learn. I never lose.
it's like when you fail, the best thing to do is you just got to understand why you fail. Ask the right questions and figure out what happened, and then learn from it, move on, and make adjustments, fix what you messed up, and carry on. Right? It's not rocket science.
It's long been said that Edison came up with like 11,000 some odd ways to not invent a light bulb before the light bulb happened.
Yeah.
I don't know how accurate the number is, of course, but there's a lot of trial
The
and
number's
error.
bigger for effect.
Yeah.
And some days when I'm at the range, it feels like I've shot 1,000 rounds before I hit a single bullseye. Especially at the freaking FBI qualification at 25 yards with my damn pistol.
And as long as you learn from every mistake you make, or as many as you can, then you will become stronger, and you theoretically won't make that mistake again. And eventually, you make enough mistakes that you become proficient at something.
Mm-hmm.
Do the next one here on chapter 6. You must dare greatly. If you want to change the world, slide down the obstacle head first. This is a whole risk reward chapter.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yep. There's little to gain if there's little nothing ventured, nothing gained is the old saying, right? The SAS, who dares wins.
Mm-hmm.
This has been part of our civilization since the dawn of time. If you always do what you always did, you'll always have what you always had.
Yeah, if we always were taking the safe route, we would stall as a society in science and everything. You gotta people have to take that leap of faith to keep moving forward, right?
We'd never go to space. We'd never have invented submarines and explored the oceans.
Airplanes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sometimes people maybe push those boundaries a little bit too far too quickly, but
that's why we have the Darwin Awards, and damn, is that entertaining.
But also, sometimes you fail at things and life isn't fair.
Absolutely.
Especially when you fail at high speeds. But
this isn't fair. This isn't flying, it's falling with style.
But yeah, if you never risk anything, you're never going to gain anything, and life is going to be boring. Mm-hmm. You'll never get ahead.
Absolutely.
Chapter 8, Rise to the Occasion.
We skipped one.
Did we?
Yeah, we were on chapter 7.
I definitely just skipped chapter 7. Stand up to your bully. Stand up to the bullies. I guess they don't have to be your bullies.
All of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's one thing I always try to follow, and I think is good is, even if you are not the one being bullied, stand up for others that are, because it's just not right.
All it takes for evil to succeed is for good men to stand by idly.
Yep, do nothing. Yep.
I think the quote you're looking for is all it takes for evil to succeed is for good men to do nothing.
That's the one.
And I want to say that's Churchill, but I don't know if that's true.
I don't think it is. I thought it was somebody American. but I can't be sure of that. Pretty sure it's not Churchill.
They quoted at the beginning of the Tears of the Sun movie, I believe.
Yep,
That's
sounds
where
right.
I remember it from.
Man, that's a Bruce Willis movie I don't see enough of.
Yeah.
It's a good movie. I've watched
good
it
one.
several times. It's got some good scenes in it.
Yeah, I might have to watch that tomorrow.
Yeah, it's not too long either.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. If you let the bullies do their thing, then they will take on more victims. You may be surprised to know, when I was a kid, I was bullied rather significantly. I was the odd one. I was too smart to be a jock and too athletic to be a nerd, and landed in this really weird spot where everybody took advantage of me. Every once in a while, I would get into trouble for fighting back. And one time I remember very specifically, my principal, Mr. Smith, who, if you're listening, you had a great impact on my life, and I appreciate that, officially in his office reprimanded me for hitting one specific kid and just laying him out. I was probably 10 or 11 at the time. And then he took me out to the sidewalk where he was no longer the school principal and high-fived me and said, "I appreciate that. You've definitely made an impact."
I mean, and this is a concept that kind of goes back to like the beginning of time almost. I mean, there's a quote in the Havamal from Odin where you recognize evil, speak out against it, and give no truces to your enemies, which is the same kind of thing. Like, don't take no shit.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Right? Like, you see someone doing something wrong, being a bully, do something about it.
Stand your damn ground.
Yeah.
In the words of great American poets, don't start no shit, won't be no shit.
Yep.
Yeah, that, or I guess in the words of a very recent street poet from Kenosha, fuck around and find out.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, standing up to the bullies. I mean, we're experiencing that all across North America right now, where a bunch of people are deciding that everyone else should obey their will or suffer consequences, and people are saying okay but no, and now they are fucking around and finding out that this is not necessarily a great way to live your life. Stand up to the bullies.
It basically kind of goes against one of the biggest rules of life. Don't be a dick. If you're not a dick, you won't be a bully, then you won't have to have people stand up to you.
Exactly.
It's that simple.
And you might have friends, so you won't have to go it alone.
Yeah.
Crazy how that works.
It is crazy how that works.
We're up to chapter 8 there. Rise to the occasion.
So I hear this on a consistent basis, something that is echoed throughout the fire service worldwide. I forget who said it first, but they say, we never rise to our expectations, we fall to the level of our training. Rise to the occasion, you must be prepared for said occasion.
Yeah.
Whatever it may be.
There also has to be willingness to go there, though.
Yes.
I think that's what he's referring
to.
to.
And I mean to bring up one of the things in Peterson's book again, like he has a thing where like, you got to aim high because like that's what you set your sights on. But if you're looking somewhere else and you aim low, like you're not even going to get close to what you're thinking of. So, or like the ever super cheesy thing that they used to have on like all the walls in school, like shoot for the moon, and even if you'll miss, you'll land amongst the stars and all of that nonsense, right? Like,
don't tell me the sky's the limit.
That's what I want to encourage, is to die screaming alone in space. That's
well, for some people.
There are some people where that would be the best possible outcome.
But yeah, like you got to try and set your sights high, and your standards high, realistically high, but like don't sell yourself short.
Yeah, believe you're worthy, because you are.
Yeah.
That's it.
All right. Chapter 9, give people hope.
Give people hope.
I don't know if there's much to expand on that one. I mean, it seems pretty straightforward.
I mean, it kind of goes with, standing up to the bullies and all that stuff. Just, look out for your friends and pick people up, bring people up with you, kind of thing. Don't let anybody fall behind.
Well, be a positive role model, right? Like,
As we've said many times on the show, don't be a dick.
Yeah.
It's a good life motto.
It's pretty much really the only rule you need. Like, if we were to write a book, it would be the one rule of life: don't be a dick. And that would just be a single page book.
And keep your mags
more of a
loaded.
postcard or a leaflet. But it is true. Like, if you measure everything that you do, am I being a dick to someone? And if the answer is yes, don't do it.
Stop doing that.
Just stop doing that.
Just quit it.
But giving people hope specifically is making, letting them know that they don't need to be a dick either, and that things do get better.
Like at work, there's a big shop that's near where I live that would be just as good as where I work now, and my commute to work would be like 2 kilometers, but I refuse to go there because there are guys there that I know work there, and they're the people that are dicks. Like, when you have a wealth of knowledge, you want to spread that knowledge to as many people as you want and bring them up with you, and they're not about that. So I refuse to work with those kind of people. It's not how I work. It's not how I want to go through my career. I try and teach as many people as possible to be as good as I can be, and hopefully they teach me things as well.
Exactly. If they say people don't leave jobs, people leave managers. Right. If you set your environment to a place where people won't show up. I just went through this with my significant other. She's a manager, and it recently came to light that within her company, which is a worldwide company, within Canada, where they have 37 some odd branches, she has the lowest attrition rate of all of them. She has a team of people that will absolutely run through walls for her because she treats them well and she develops them, and they know that there is something on the other side of the suck.
Yep.
She gives them hope, and they give her 110% every single shift.
Yep. I mean, I can attest to that. I mean, I've got people at my office that one of them is actually retiring this Friday, and they struggled immensely with that because they didn't want to go. And like, they'd come into my office and, we've had lengthy conversations, and then on a couple of times they even started crying because, like, they really didn't want to leave. Conversely, in one of my other locations that I don't oversee as much as I do as the one that I'm physically located at, and someone else manages it, they have a very high turnover rate.
So you're saying they also make their employees cry, but maybe for different reasons?
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
And and somebody actually just quit last Friday.
Oh, well, that's no good. Chapter 10 is never ever quit.
Yeah.
They clearly didn't read.
In this case,
we shall
I don't blame him.
Never ever give up.
Yeah. Sometimes you got to do what's best for you, right?
Yeah. It's not quitting if it really sucks.
Well, and it depends on what you're quitting and why you're quitting it. You're quitting something because it's hard.
Better, right?
Which is like the whole point is, just because something's hard doesn't mean you give up on it.
Yeah.
Right.
Sure.
Life is hard. It's less hard if you don't quit.
I'll give you a John Wayne quote. This one I can correctly attribute. Life is hard. It's harder if you're stupid.
I wasn't going there, but yes.
I mean, he's not wrong.
He's not wrong.
I feel like it's hardest if you're not willing to work hard either, though. I think that's the biggest problem we have in my industry is people just aren't willing to work hard anymore and break a sweat, so to speak.
I got bad news. That's not your industry. That's our generation, bud.
That is.
Yeah.
I was a few years ago. I don't know.
I'm looking at you, millennials. Yeah.
I was having a couple of beers with an old friend. Like, we went to public school together. We've been friends for years. We kind of drifted apart, and we both have kids and wives and ex-wives and all that stuff. And met up with him and a couple of other people that I kind of knew casually. And the three of them spent, a good 3 hours talking about all the various ways that they could figure out how to get something for nothing. This was happening during the whole Occupy movement, and
did they all come to the conclusion that they could just vote liberal? Is that
was basically it. But like one of them had his whole argument was that he'd done jail time, and so there was no way that he could get any kind of lifestyle sustaining job, and so he shouldn't bother trying. He should just be. Because the government screwed him and put him in jail.
Government owes him now.
The government now owes him a lifestyle, and I
thought they'd already provided him with one for a little while.
They did, and I asked him, like, what did you do when you were in prison? Like, did you have access to classes? Did you learn skills? And he said, no, we played cards a lot. We worked out. Yeah. Okay. Did you have access to those things? Yeah, some people did them, but I didn't bother. Okay. So
why?
Why? Like, why didn't you? And his answer was, well, because now I'm a convict and people are never going to hire me. Well, one, that's not true. There's some things that you can't that you'll be excluded from. Absolutely. You probably can't be a police officer if you have a violent offense on your record. But this is not somebody who is going to want to be a police officer anyways. Fine. There's lots of other things you can do that will pay you just fine. People who run heavy equipment, by the way, there's very little record checking that goes on there. They make damn good money. And if you're good at it, you can make a lot of money. And you can be an absolute piece of trash outside of work and do your job well, and nobody cares.
Yeah. I mean, as somebody that has a warehouse, as long as you show up to work and do your job, I do not care what you've done previously, and I don't care what you do before or after working hours, so long as you are not a danger to anybody while you're at the place and you do your job.
Your tasks. Yeah, complete your tasks. And
you get your pick list, you put the things in the bucket, and you put it on the conveyor belt, and away it goes. And you repeat that a couple times throughout the day, and you're good. That's it. It's not hard.
Exactly. And so there's always an opportunity. No matter what, and nobody's coming to save you.
Well, that, and for all these people that maybe have these ideas that they won't ever get anywhere because of whatever they've done stupid in their past, and you know what, like, nobody's perfect. We've all done stupid things. Some have just been fortunate that we've never been caught.
I did most of my stupid things before cell phone cameras were a thing.
Yeah. So. But if you go in at one of these entry-level jobs and slowly work your way up through hard work and dedication, like all of these things that we've been talking about today, you'll already be in the company. So by the time you get to a management level, they're not going to run a police background check on you anyway. So you're fine.
Or they will, and they don't care because they can see your work ethic, and they can see that you're not.
That stuff can also get expunged depending on what it is.
Yeah, and eventually it's attributed to somebody who made a mistake, did their time, and has proven themselves a good employee since then.
Yeah,
plain and simple.
Yeah. So don't quit. Keep going.
Don't quit. Keep going. Work hard. Okay. And at the end of the day, when you've worked hard, come home to your made bed. You will feel better about it.
Yeah. Especially if you've had a day where you failed.
Yeah. That's it. So we've now talked for about 47 minutes about a 14-minute speech. I love that.
Yeah. Well, it's like a 2-hour
We provided
book.
better anecdotes in the book, though.
Yeah. And more cussing.
Way more cussing.
Like an appropriate level of cussing, and I appreciate
although
that.
I imagine, given that he was in the Navy, he can curse a blue streak.
Yeah, but he's an officer in the Navy, so he's probably not allowed to anymore.
Yeah, but he was also a SEAL.
Much more comedy relief as well.
So I don't know how that works.
Well,
I don't know if those
give you another
each other out, or
I'd still like to have.
I can give you another correctly attributed quote. This one I know is Churchill. The Navy is nothing but rum, sodomy, and the lash.
And I'm pretty sure they don't have the lash or rum anymore.
Fuck, I wish Churchill was my prime minister.
I know Churchill was not a very good prime minister.
He was not a very good prime minister. He was a reasonably good general, but he wasn't a very good prime minister.
He had some great speeches, though.
He had some amazing
serious one-liners.
Which were
I
probably
would
written
love.
by other people, but he delivered them well.
I would love to
Yeah.
just have Churchill like get me out of bed in the morning and tell me how to just tell me to make my bed and go about my day. Like,
Bootstraps, young man.
yeah.
Oh yeah, like that fight them on the beaches speech, man. Like that.
Oh yeah. Like every time I hear that, I just want to like get up and stab
Chills.
something. You know.
Chills.
Yeah.
I'm still going with Churchill was a bad prime minister.
Yeah.
But-
I
That's
don't know
fine.
about any of his political
Okay.
dealings. You're probably totally right.
So
Some great
in
speeches
that
and some
realm.
great one-liners.
yeah, some amazing one-liners. Yes, madam, I am a drunk, but in the morning I'll be sober and you'll still be ugly.
Yeah, and the one about like socialism or whatever is like trying to lift yourself up from the bucket or whatever. Like
Yeah,
that one. Yeah.
a nation that tries to tax itself into prosperity is like standing in a bucket and trying to lift yourself up by the handle.
You know, he was able to put a few things very well.
Yeah, very eloquent, simple yet eloquent.
Good
I just-
orator. I will give you that.
Yeah.
I just appreciate the cigars, you know.
Yeah,
That's-
and you know, was the head person of a nation while it was still great.
yes, he was, and
It declined a whole lot since then.
yes, but there's a lot to be said about the monarchy there too. So, the House of Lords has had a lot more to do with that than the prime minister, and that's an entirely different rant.
Oh, we should remind
Make
people
your
if you want to make your bed, follow the book, go buy it on Amazon. We get a cut of the sale, and I appreciate that. If you want to watch the YouTube video, the complete unabridged University of Texas 2014 commencements address is in the show notes there. And we should go around and find where everybody can find you. So we'll start with Gavin. Where can everybody find you on the internet when you're not making your bed?
You can find me on the Instagram, Urbix_GTA.
Uh,
All right. Alan, where can everybody find you?
You can find me on the other CPPs live Sundays at 9 p.m. Eastern. You can email me if you want. Alan with 1L at prepperpodcast.ca.
All right. Dave, where can everybody find you? You and your
Find
shiny
me.
metal.
You can find me on the range winning, or you can find me on the IGs at Diesel6223.
If you've listened to us drunkenly ramble about a book this long, you deserve a discount code. Go to RagnarokTactical.ca and use the discount code Patriot at checkout. Save yourself some money.
Get some plates.
We value your opinions. Send us your feedback. Feedback at CanadianPatriotPodcast.com. Let us know what you think of our book reviews and what books we should review. Or how you disagree with me about whether or not Churchill was a good prime minister.
I guess we should probably plug a couple of other things too. Protest. September
Yeah, okay,
12th.
sure.
Be there. We'll be there.
We'll be there. It's in Ottawa.
Are
You
we
should go.
carpooling to that?
Socially distanced carpooling.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
going to block all the lanes on the 401.
Extremely slow.
We'll be there. And I guess Andrew and I are doing a little guest appearance on Saturday night on another podcast.
Yeah, so if you check out Sean on the First Focal Plane podcast, we're going to be
Yeah.
over there.
Also known as
hanging
the
out and
Imposter
talking
Podcast.
smack. I have to apologize to Rod Giltaka. I'm sorry we couldn't fit Rod into the show this evening. He neglected to do the homework. He didn't make his bed.
Dick.
For all of our listeners out there in podcast land, I'd like to remind you that you are the true North. Strong and free.
I get chills.